so our world was transformed. This breakpoint, if you accept it, to me, these breakpoints, the first big lie, or this break from our traditions, which indeed is laid out in the Communist Manifesto, to break with traditional religion and morality. These are points of for me, they're almost places of relief to find that there is a point at which things changed and a way to address the problems that they presented. There's another reason it strikes me so important to understand the communist experience more completely, no matter how much it conflicts with what we know, no matter how much it upsets us about what we think we know. Now, Solzhenitsyn wrote about this same sea change with communism, and he wrote, "Communism has never concealed the fact that it rejects all absolute concepts of morality." Communism has never concealed the fact that it rejects all absolute concepts of morality. And then when we look at the threat from Islamic Sharia, jihad, we learn that lying is obligatory in Islam to advance Islam, which is a similar notion, or fits in with it. And Solzhenitsyn wrote that communism scoffs at any considerations of good and evil as indisputable categories. Communism considers morality to be relative.
I've got an object in my hand. I'm going to explain Einstein's theory of relativity and the confusion that has arisen. This is a cigarette box. I'm going to refer to it as an object. It could be a photon, because I've got a video where I use a photon, a red dot, signifying a photon. Is this cigarette box moving up and down? From my point of view, it appears to be moving up and down. But if I and the box were moving left to right, it might appear to be, to you, if you're stationary, it might appear to be moving in a zigzag. I see an object moving up and down, but you see an object moving in a zigzag. This is all relativity is. Since it may not be apparent whether you're in motion or not, or whether I'm in motion, you really can't be sure what you're looking at in terms of moving objects until you establish what's moving and in what direction and at what speed. This is all relativity is, really. And this is common sense. Because this happens in the world where you live. It happens to you every day. Einstein stepped out of reality, stepped beyond reality, entered the world of fantasy when he theorized that a moving object not only appears different to different observers, but it is different. And length is relative to the observer. Mass is relative to the observer. And time, T-I-M-E, is relative to the observer. He went on to theorize that if light travels at a constant speed, and it appears objects reflecting light appear to move differently depending on the reference point, the inertial reference frame, he called it, then length and mass and time must also be relative to the observer. No, I wouldn't think so. That's just a stretch. And it is yet to be proven. But even if it is proven correct, light moves so incredibly fast, and human beings move in comparison to light so incredibly slow. Even the space shuttle or the International Space Station orbiting the Earth, perhaps traveling 10 miles per second, that is still incredibly slow compared to the speed of light, which is of course 186,000 miles per second. If Einstein is correct, relativity doesn't affect you in your day-to-day life. It might affect, if it's true, which I doubt, it might affect fast-moving objects like subatomic particles, but I doubt it. I believe that length remains the same, mass remains the same, and time remains the same, because these things have no connection to motion. It is what it is. The mass of this box remains the same regardless of your point of view and my point of view. I may perceive it differently, but it is what it is. And along the same lines, time remains what it is, regardless of my perception of it or your perception of it. Because suppose I'm in motion and you're not. Oh, but you are. Because there's no way for you to be motionless. You're on a planet that's spinning. And the planet is traveling around the sun. The sun is almost certainly moving across the galaxy, and the galaxy itself is moving relative to other galaxies. Moving relative to other galaxies. Everything is in motion. But sometimes we have a situation, pick up what I have at hand here. Sometimes we have a situation where two objects appear to be stationary relative to each other. It could be that I and the beer can and the cigarette box are zooming like hell across the universe. And in fact, we are. And you are. We are all zooming like hell. We're going tremendously fast. But once you are in motion, and you're no longer accelerating, you're not speeding up or slowing down, you don't have any ability to perceive that motion. If you're riding in a jet plane, traveling from New York to California, you can lean back in your chair and take a nap. And suppose the stewardess wakes you up and asks, would you like a Coca-Cola or a glass of water? And suppose you accidentally drop that glass of water to the floor of the airplane. It would fall to the floor of the airplane the same as it would as if you dropped it in your home, because you and the airplane and the water are all moving together at the same speed, that nobody is accelerating. Everything is motionless relative to you and the plane. If I was stationary and I saw you go by drinking a glass of water which slipped from your fingers, you would appear to me to be a streak, because you're going 500 miles per hour. And as the glass of water fell straight down to the floor of the airplane, it would look to me as it's falling at an angle, because there are two motions together, the forward motion of the plane and the downward motion of the glass of water. It would appear to me that the trajectory was not straight down, but at an angle. Like as though you had dropped a bomb from the bomb bay of your airplane, observed from a stationary position. The bomb appears to fall at an angle. From your position, having dropped the bomb, it appears to you to fall straight down. See, this should not shock anybody. And Einstein does not deserve a Nobel Prize, and he didn't get a Nobel Prize for this nonsense. But he went on to theorize that gravity is not the same, and time is not the same, and length is not the same, and mass is not the same relative to two observers who are not moving together in a uniform motion. Like I explained with the airplane. I've seen a glass of water falling at an angle. You see it falling straight down. It's because you are moving with the water and I am not. This doesn't change your clock. This doesn't change your mass. This doesn't change how tall you are or how fat you are. None of this changes. It's just that because of the fact that one of us is in the airplane and the other of us is outside the airplane, we see two different motions. I'm seeing the combination of motions, forward motion and downward motion, and you're seeing only one motion because you are moving forward with the plane at 500 miles per hour. This is all common sense. A 5-year-old who thought about it for a moment would understand it. An idiot or a hoaxer, a charlatan or a con man would put forth the notion that mass, distance, time, all these things are affected by somebody's perception. Because their perception changes, that means reality changes. It's all BS, it's all nonsense, it's a hoax perpetuated by hoaxers and their lackeys. They're useful idiots who spread nonsense unknowingly. This is a perfect example of what goes on throughout human civilization. We're all competing for the goodies, for privilege, for status, paychecks, positions. You want to get suppose both of us are applying for a job, you want to look better to the employer than I do. So hopefully the employer will hire you so you'll get the paycheck. We're competing with one another, and we quite often, in competing with one another, misrepresent the truth. Misrepresent the truth knowingly, and sometimes we misrepresent the truth unknowingly. This is the reality. This is the reality that human beings are not necessarily always reliable witnesses